Hi, I'm Barry from Fireproof Studios, and we're here at the View conference in Turin.
Can you talk a little bit about your background in video games?
Sure. I started in Ireland in the very early 90s in Dublin, Ireland. I worked for an educational games company, and we made games for the SNES and PC and very low tech. And then in '94 I went over to England to work for Bullfrog Productions, who were my favourite developer at the time. And I worked there for 2 years. And then after that I sort of dotted around the industry in a few different companies, and then I ended up in Criterion Studios working on the Burnout games in 2004.
How did you guys end up going from those awesome Burnout games to puzzles with the room?
Because one of the things that was clear to us as a team when we all worked together was we loved making Burnout and we loved making racing games, but we're just gamers. Like we haven't hitched our cart to racing games. We're interested in games full stop. And if Criterion had switched it up and wanted to make a shooting game, we would have loved that, which they did do when they made Black. So we were always interested just in games generally. Although we worked, for many years making a racing game, that was just icing on the cake for us. We just loved making video games. So we never had to change our attitude when we left Criterion and started Fireproof Games. We never had to. There was no sort of big switch we had to make over, mentally, from one type of game to the next. We're very much just interested in video games full stop, and we play all genres of games on all platforms. And that's kind of the way we want our company to run as well. We want to jump from genre to genre, title to title, platform to platform, based on what we think is interesting.
And what do you find interesting today?
Today? I think we've had a lot of luck on mobile, right? So it's done really, really well for us. But I think the kind of people and markets and games we want to make, but the people and markets we want to address aren't on mobile yet. We've done our best with The Room to try and, making a paid game on mobile, to try and make a game that's kind of just for gamers. And so with that success, we want to then try and spread out to other platforms now. So we're thinking of PC and we're thinking of console. That's maybe our next steps.
Do you see The Room expanding beyond the platforms it's on right now?
It's already on Steam. Yeah, The Room 1 and 2 is on PC already, and both games have an overwhelmingly positive rating. So, so we think that's gone really well. That's gone better than we thought, actually, in terms of the reaction of people, because we thought that by losing the touch interface, the game would be lessened. But it turns out from the people who've played the game, they love it. And so we were kind of wrong about that, actually. We thought that it would not get a good reaction, but it's gotten an amazing reaction on PC. So The Room is already expanding onto different platforms. In the future, we'd love to make a Room VR game, for instance, when the market is there. So yeah, we think there's a lot of legs in the series, really.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about VR because we are starting to see early puzzle games in that. But what does that virtual reality platform open up for the puzzle genre?
I think with puzzles, if you want to talk broadly about the puzzle genre, probably what VR can do is VR's great trick is immersiveness, right? So it's kind of as they call it, presence. The feeling that you're actually there. Puzzles are very immersive, right? People get sucked into them. In the same way people get sucked into the world of Skyrim or something like this. People got kind of laser focus on them, and that really suits VR. VR is very sort of all-encompassing, I suppose you'd say. So I think puzzle games do lend themselves to VR to a certain way, but I think they have to be more than just mental puzzles. They have to be some way physical, they have to in some way be environmental. And then to then transition to how that works with The Room, The Room is all about that. The Room is you're in a creepy immersive environment, physically moving objects around in that environment. It's perfect for VR, frankly. It's kind of tailor-made for the kind of game we do, which is about, we want to make immersive games. We want to make games where people get sucked right into it and they blot out the outside world. and this is all they're thinking about. That's the kind of games we like making. And so that's what we want to continue, and we think VR really lends itself to that. So, you know, as far as VR goes, we're already sold on it in every way except the market. Right? We have to see the market pick up, and that's what we're paying attention to, really. The technology will keep getting better anyway. The technology that's there now isn't the best version of VR. Lots of ways it is, but resolution is an issue, I would say. But other than that, yeah, I think we're just waiting for the people to arrive, really. And once they do, then we'll start looking at VR more seriously.
Having made some really great racing games, what are your thoughts about VR racing? What that
well, that depends. That depends how you do it. You have to be very clever with VR because motion is a difficulty, right? Especially lateral movement. Too much lateral movement is a real issue. Racing games, obviously, if you're doing lots of cornering and maybe you're pushing the back end of the car out and all of this, lots of lateral movement. We haven't done any experiments in that ourselves, so we don't really know, from personal experience how to make that work. I think that's going to be difficult for lots of people. Action games are just hard to do in VR, and do because action kind of works against the delicacy of the player when they're in VR, because the tech isn't quite there to allow the player to do anything they want. It's 70-80% of the way there, but there's certain actions that you do in VR that can make players nauseous or can make it so that it's just a bit too hectic on their brain and it hurts their head. So VR has some problems to overcome, I think, in that respect. But can you make a racing game in VR? Yeah, people are doing it now, so I'm sure there's some solutions already out there, and it will just get better.
What's next for your studio?
We're working on another room type game. It's not the Room 4, but we want to keep doing stuff in that sort of genre. And we're working on a PC game, something that's more for PC and consoles, which is not a puzzle game. It's nothing to do with the Room. That'll be our next big trick we have to pull off. We managed it once with the Room, but we're going to have to do it all over again with this next game because it's brand new and we're starting from nothing, right? We're not known on those platforms, so it'll be an uphill struggle, but we're up for it. We'll see what happens.
How big a studio do you guys have now?
We're 15 people.
Is everyone focuses on one game at a time?
No, we're doing two, actually. When we made the Room 3, we were also building Amiga Agent, which was our VR exclusive arcade action game that we made for the Gear VR, but it's now on Vive and on the Oculus Rift as well. And so, no, we've been a two-game studio effectively almost all the way along, because even when we were making the Room 1 and the Room 2, we were still making freelance work for other people. So we've never really had the whole company on a game for the whole of development. It's never happened. So we're quite comfortable working like that. And it makes sense anyway, because you have so much working out to do at the beginning, the initial start of a project. You can't put 10 artists on it. What are they going to do? So it works out this way, actually. It's better. Like I say, we're comfortable working that way.
What's it been like expanding beyond the mobile VR into the high-end PC VR experiences, especially with one game?
It was pretty painless. To be fair, it was pretty painless because we did a lot of legwork when we made the mobile version. Remember, the mobile version is much less reduced resource-wise, so you've broken the back of a lot of problems by making your game on a very difficult VR platform first, because when you then upgrade to PC, you've got much more leg room and you don't have to worry about frame rate so much. But beyond that, I think you'd probably have to talk to our coders. I mean, they'd be the guys who could really tell you the differences. But from our perspective, it wasn't painful. I'm not saying it was painless, but it wasn't painful. It was pretty good. We got it up there pretty quickly and everything went more or less as we thought it would. So,
creatively, what is it opening up for you guys, just thinking about
VR? You mean, or?
Yeah.
I don't know that we're there yet. I think when the market arrives fully, I think we all want to make a Room VR game, but we will only make a unique VR-only version of the Room. We will never do a port of our old games into VR. We think VR is good enough that we want to do, the experience of it is unique enough and good enough. We want to do a VR-only built from the ground up game for that market, for a game that will only exist in that platform, because that way then you get to take advantage of the uniqueness of it and what it does really well, and we can pay attention to things we haven't before, like creepiness has always been a big part of the room game, but that takes on a whole new level in VR. So that would be really interesting for us to take on. Like, what can you do to freak people out in a nice way in VR? I think, but it's not something we haven't been able to 100% put our brains on because we're not dealing with that market yet 100% in the same way we are now with mobile. But when it comes, it'll be interesting. Yeah, I think we're all quite interested to see what we could come up with, and it will be we want to make something necessarily different to what the room would be on any other platform. So that's why it's going to be interesting, because there's going to be aspects of the game that will not translate to anything else, and they'll be the aspects that we're unfamiliar with, that we haven't investigated yet. So they're going to be interesting bits.